Hello, gentlemen, Critics Nation. We're back, and we're going to be talking about Batman versus Superman. And let's right away. Let's just get into it. Um, the critics did not like this movie. It was highly talked down upon, and it honestly they told people not to go see it, and it got horrible reviews. But it still made a ton of money for a movie in the movie business these days. It's reaching milestones, so it's still a good superhero movie, really, in terms of how much money it's made. Although DC is not interested in that amount of money. They think it's not enough, so they're expecting more money in the future from these movies. So, uh,
I think that's bound to happen regardless. I think even going into it, if they weren't expecting a whole lot out of it, it's gonna happen. People are excited to see these movies. I think.
I definitely think that there's still a lot of hype around Batman, and Superman's getting a little bit more hype since Man of Steel, and they've really been doing a great marketing. They really knew what to do to bring these two guys together, and Batman vs Superman was gonna be something they could sell to the market, and they made a lot of money. But honestly, in terms of a movie, it really wasn't all that impressive. It was just okay. They allowed the ambiance of these characters to absolutely carry through. They needed the actors to carry these characters through this movie. And the when you watch like a really good film, and this is what I think the critics are thinking. Like, think about The Revenant, for example. I know it's unfair to compare that to The Revenant, but thinking in a critical point of view, like the critics would, you'd think that movie has such good filmmaking that even though Leo's performance was amazing, that movie carried through so well
Without just Leo, yeah.
without just Leo. And like, this movie definitely did not in any way do that. They relied upon Ben Affleck and they relied upon Henry Cavill to push the scene forward every time. There were some cool shots, but Zack Snyder's known to do really cool shots and interesting shots. But I just don't feel like his presence was there, but it wasn't there in a very good way in this movie. I don't think.
Big thing I know for all three of us going into the movie, the opening scene, very very interesting. If it is Batman's backstory, Jesse, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, we've seen it time and time again from the that 80s Batman with Tim Burton, but really, like, we know it, but they had to put that in there. They had to throw a lot of things in this movie. That's why it maybe felt discombobulated and all over the place. This is a movie that has to set up the future of the DCU,
Hmm.
and so there was a lot of things that they had to deal with. The beginning scene, I thought it was all right. I mean, yeah, when the kid is carried by a bunch of bats, that's a little, you know, out of nowhere, and I'm just, yeah. But other than that, I think it was fine. Like,
Just
I
ruined
the
the
way they,
whole thing for me. That
It
whole
did.
scene was absolutely ruined because I wasn't sold on it at first. I was looking at it like I already know Batman's backstory, and I know every other person sitting in this theater knows Batman's backstory, so I don't need to watch Thomas and Martha Wayne get shot again. But
I've
I
seen it
did.
enough
I
times.
watched it, and then Bruce ran away like Bruce does, and he fell in a hole like Bruce does, and then bats carried him up into the heavens, into the light. And I was like, this was just a stupid waste of the beginning of this movie.
yeah, it was a little out of nowhere. But then, shortly after that, we get right into the beginning of kind of the whole Man of Steel conflict with him and Zod, and Bruce Wayne's
Yes.
going through Metropolis in his car or whatnot, and
Bruce
seeing all
Wayne's
the
like,
destruction
it
going
doesn't
on.
matter if it's the Batmobile because I'm Bruce
Yeah,
Wayne.
no, that was a
I
little
can drive a
product
car like
placement
that.
snuck in there. And that's where we first pretty much see um, Batman's how Batman feels about Superman with all the stuff going down and his employees dying and whatnot. And in my opinion, he had great motivation. It was a great scene, and then after that, then it started to go all over the place. But I think up until that point, that was all good.
What did you think about the casting choice of Ben Affleck, Jesse?
I supported it from day one. I mean, when I first heard about it, I was just like, I don't know. But then, like 10 minutes later, I was like, I could see it. I like Ben Affleck. He's a great director, writer. He's been for a long time, since Good Will Hunting, and then Argo. He won an Oscar for it.
Mm.
And after seeing his performance, I'm justified. He did a really good job, and I want to see a solo Batman film with him writing and directing it. I called that, and apparently it's happening. So I'm pleased.
Yes,
I agree.
I would like to talk about Ben Affleck because honestly, I thought I was not for this when it first happened. I was one of the first people that did not support that decision, especially because I knew that Ben Affleck had said that the reason he did this is because his son wanted him to be Batman. And
He's for the children, all right? I
so
mean,
For the
I
children.
was like,
all-
okay, that's a very okay.
The movie's not for the children, but
Yeah, I
here we
was
go.
like, oh, that's not the kind of movie. Like, I don't know if you want your like
Batman's
little
for the
kid to
children.
see this.
Dad, you kill a bunch of people. Why?
Dad, you blew a guy up. You
You
tried
do
to murder Superman, our hero.
you do unnecessary things, Dad. Why?
Why do you scream all the time? No, but really, I wasn't for it. But his performance in this movie definitely sold me. I really loved his Bruce Wayne. I knew I was going to going in because he's a great actor. But in the bat suit, I was cautious. I did not think he was gonna really be Batman. But he was, man. He felt like old man Bruce. He did. He felt like he was just running around, just trying to do the best he can out here and he's getting the job done, and I loved it. I loved his performance. So I really think that I would like to see a solo Batman film. So I'm so glad that he's gonna do that, and I'm glad that we get to see more of him in Suicide Squad. That's gonna be really awesome to see.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of Suicide Squad, rumor has it, after the first couple of reviews have come out for it and all that, we're going to see more of Batman in this movie than we originally thought.
Yeah,
What do you think about that? What do you? Because I'm not too big on it. I don't think he should be in the movie too much.
I don't think he will be that much. I think, and in
Yeah.
my opinion, I think that's going to be a flashback scene for the most part, and then he may show up later down the road. But he's not going to play a huge part in this movie. I don't think.
all I can think about is I'm like, yes, I love Ben Affleck, but I feel like you as Batman is great, but this is time that is being taken away from the Joker, and
True.
and so we should probably just reevaluate that.
I mean, you can't have the Joker without Batman. You can't have,
I feel like the thing that I like about Suicide Squad is that it's all implied that it's already happened. Like it's definitely like Batman has already definitely dealt with the Joker on countless occasions, so many times. But we're gonna get to see him do it again. But now he's out here like, I failed you in life. I will fail you in death. So he's gonna be a little changed, I guess.
Yeah.
What do you think about Henry Cavill?
I've said it from the beginning. I think Henry Cavill is the best Superman we've ever had,
I agree.
and he's just Alex. It's like we talked about when we saw the movie the first time. Like that sound that they make when Superman lands.
There's a good use of the ambiance of the film with the lighting and the sound. Everything that they do with Superman makes it feel like he's Superman.
It's so funny. It's such a good sound, and it's just and you look at it and you're just like, yep, that's Superman. That's definitely Superman right there. And he looks, especially in that dream sequence, and he just looks at Batman. You're like, oh, that's Superman out there. He's looking crazy, super powerful.
Doing drunk with power.
No, I think Henry Cavill's performance was again really, really great. I love his Clark Kent, and I think that he does an amazing Superman. I like that he's the kind of Superman that's like he's a little impatient. He doesn't like messing around all that much.
He's
like,
young.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's still a young
yeah,
Superman.
he's a Superman. It's like I've only been doing this for like 2 years. I haven't even fought like Metallo yet. I don't even know about
Yeah, yeah.
Kryptonite. Like does the Man of Steel, is he a thing in Superman's universe yet? No, but Batman is over here like I've been Batman. Okay, I've been Batman. I am Batman. And
Yeah.
Superman's like, okay, man, I don't even have the Fortress of Solitude yet. So
Like I'm trying out here. I'm
like I'm just trying out here, and you're trying to go to war with me. Like you're trying to murder me, man. Like just save my mom, okay? That's all I'm worried about. Save Martha.
Martha.
Marsh,
Why'd you say that name?
why did you say that? We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Okay.
All right, I loved Wonder Woman. I'm gonna come out and say it. I think she did phenomenal. I mean, yeah, her lines were a little patchy here and there. I think she could have been written better as a character, but I feel like we'll see that in her movie. Honestly,
You know, that's all I want is just to see her and Chris Pine just flying out of World War One in the Invisible Jet, and the Wonder Woman movie will be complete.
That's all I need.
No, but Gal Gadot is really, she does a good job, especially in, I feel like when she's moving around like non-verbally, she really looks like Wonder Woman. So she was really like in that fight, it sold it for me. So
she had intensity when when the little smirk she gave, it's like, you
yes,
don't scare me. I've taken other things down just as big as you.
yeah, really
killed things from other planets before.
Yeah. There
That's
you
probably
go.
one of the cooler lines in the movie.
Yeah. She sold it.
But we got to talk about, Boys Share too, because Bruce Wayne's out here sending emails to Wonder Woman like,
Yeah.
hey,
We
uh,
share.
got these files you wanted. Hey, you should look at these.
Take a look at them.
Take a look at these.
Take a look at him.
Which leads us to Aquaman as she opens the Aquaman one first, and we just look at Jason Momoa staring at us for like 5 seconds.
What is this contraption?
Cameo videos though, the files that she finds. What do we think about those? What was your favorite one, Kyle?
Oh, my favorite one would definitely, I mean, I'm Flash all the way. So the best one was the Flash. It wasn't the best, like, true intro, but it was my favorite for sure. Like I mean, it was so cool to see because I feel like I don't like Ariza Miller as the Flash, but I will be able to get over it, especially because looking at those special effects, like that, I thought the lightning looked really cool, and the fact that they made it look as I've kind of always thought Flash could look in terms of really great special effects. Like I love the way the CW does it, but this is millions and millions of dollars on the line in terms of special effects. So like this is gonna look immensely better, and that I'm very excited for.
Jesse, what was your favorite cameo?
I wanted to like the Aquaman cameo the most. I really did. I love Aquaman probably more than most people. I read his comic books. I think he's one of the bigger players in the entire DC universe. But I ended up really liking the cyborg stuff the most with it. It was the most interesting looking. Apparently in the comic books it makes more sense what was going on inside of the thing, side of that little scene. But yeah, I like that one probably the most.
Yeah,
I'd have to agree with my favorite. It's definitely Cyborg. It provoked more questions about him than the other ones did about the other guys.
do you guys know like an awful lot about cyborgs? So like, I mean, when I was looking at that, I don't know an awful lot about his backstory, but I know he gets blown up and
Yes,
he's pretty much dismembered all over.
I
And his
know.
dad tries to basically rebuild him, and then he uses some unexplainable alien technology, and it definitely mutates and turns his son into this living computer, pretty
Yeah,
much.
that's the. I couldn't tell you what it was called just because I never really got into the whole backstory of Cyborg, but I can
Yeah.
tell you it's an alien material or technology, I guess you could call it, that does that to him. That's all I know.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. They did a great job, I think, of immediately being like, "Hey, if you're watching this movie and you're gonna watch the Cyborg movie and you don't know anything about Cyborg, this is a good first glimpse of like this is an intense kind of backstory, but he is a really cool hero." I mean, did you see
Very
the
cool
way that
hero.
cube was moving? Like that's going to become him as a person. So like, you know, if you were interested in that video, I think that they did a great job because if you were interested in that video, you're definitely going to go see the Cyborg movie.
I agree. To touch back on Aquaman real quick, Jesse made a really interesting comment, saying he's one of the bigger players in the coming films. I agree completely. I may not be the biggest Aquaman fan, but that's just because there's other superheroes I'd rather read about, just because I know about
Absolutely.
Aquaman already.
Yeah,
But
he had. Yeah.
Aquaman is definitely he's an original DC hero. He's definitely someone that should not be ignored throughout all of this, even though his past representations may not have been the coolest or the most awesome, but he's a classic hero, and you can't deny that.
Yeah, they're now starting to try to make Aquaman look cool. They haven't really tried to do that to the mainstream audiences. So
I would agree.
finally, they're doing it by casting Jason Momoa, Khal Drogo, into the part. So I'm
Yes.
excited.
The horse
Can only
lord is
imagine
like,
the
I will now
intensity.
take to the sea.
Take my
It's gonna be
Khaleesi.
very, it's gonna be very Chris Hemsworth as Thor. It's gonna be very similar to that, I imagine.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
Very intense, kind of the brute of the group, I would imagine.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean that's really, if you know Aquaman, that's really what Aquaman is. Aquaman's like one of the heavy hitters. You know, you throw Aquaman in there, he's gonna be super strong. He's gonna throw people around. He's a good fighter. Aquaman's one of your guys. But as Alex said, I just have never really been like an Aquaman fan because there's so many other interesting heroes in the DC universe that just are so much, I don't know.
He'll get his time.
But
He'll get his
Aquaman
time.
as the
He
king
will,
of
he will.
Atlantis, so you absolutely have to acknowledge Aquaman.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you have to acknowledge Atlantis as a huge thing for the DC universe. So that's probably gonna be a really, really visually stunning movie, especially when we see Atlantis for the first time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
That's gonna be awesome.
I hope they do Central City correct when they do Flash. Like I want him just running around Central City looking like, man, I'm gonna go get some pizza, run like 50 miles to Coast City, get some pizza, run back. You're like, yeah, that was great.
That was great.
I want to see the Flash be in the Flash in this
All right.
movie. So if that happens,
enough about heroes. Heroes are only so interesting. Doomsday. What are our thoughts on Doomsday?
I thought going into this movie that I was going to really dislike how they were going to explain Doomsday because they immediately told us in the trailer they were going to use Zod's body, and that was weird decision. But they made it work, and it was really one of the few. I really had no issue with it when I saw it in the movie. They did a good job of explaining it. I still felt like it was very believable that could be an alternate version of Doomsday. You know, I could see that being very, you know, it didn't feel like too far away from who Doomsday actually is.
Yeah, you really felt the stakes to the situation because Doomsday was so powerful, and he showed it. He evolved.
Yes.
During the scene, it was awesome with him fighting Batman. And that's one of my favorite parts. Probably my favorite part of, well, maybe second favorite part of the movie when they're all fighting together. It's when the Justice League truly comes together. You got Superman with his vision. You have Wonder Woman fighting him with the sword and shield with the lasso of truth, and you have Batman in the background shooting his kryptonite canisters. And I was just like, yes, this is the Justice League coming together.
Yes,
this
it really was,
man.
It really was.
The way I wanted to see it. So.
All I was missing was Green Lantern hitting him with a big train.
A train, yeah.
Oh, that's all. I was just waiting for like Cyborg in the cannon. I don't know. I could see it. I agree with you entirely. You were watching it and you were like, okay, like let's do it. Let's make a Justice League movie. Like I could see it right now how good this can be.
I think DC and Marvel need to make a truce for the Green Lantern movie just so Deadpool can come up be like, yes, this is how you do Green Lantern.
Yes,
all right, I'm
at the very end scene. They'll do a Marvel thing. There'll be an ending scene at the end of the credits, and it'll be Deadpool being like, "That was really good."
Oh, man, way better than my performance.
Man, Ryan Reynolds was horrible.
Jeez, I'm glad we can forget that.
That would be a great crossover. But honestly, they did a really good job with Doomsday, I thought. Because, well, when he transformed the second time, at first, when you were looking at him, you're like, okay, so that's Doomsday, but he just doesn't quite look right. And then he kind of transforms in mid-fight a couple times, and you really see him become Doomsday. So that was awesome to see. I mean, I love the scene when Wonder Woman cuts off his hand and he just evolves into what inevitably will be Superman's demise. So that was a really cool scene to see. But that would lead us to created Doomsday, the greatest villain of all time. Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. His name comes first because Jesse Eisenberg is now the new Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
He is Lex Luthor now. That's canon.
He's gonna be
That's
bald in
real.
Zombieland too now, because he's Lex Luthor playing Jesse Eisenberg playing Columbus.
Well,
Or But
in every movie from now on, Jesse Eisenberg is bald.
yes,
Never goes hair
Yes.
down.
but we have to talk about Jesse Eisenberg's performance. I know we all had differing views going into the movie. Alex, let's start with you. I think you had a favorable view of Jesse Eisenberg going into it.
All right. I wasn't stoked about the idea because obviously you hear Jesse Eisenberg playing Lex Luthor, it's not really the matchup you would imagine. Seeing him in the trailer and seeing the kind of energy he was going to put into it, yeah, that gave me a little bit of hope. It was better than I anticipated though. After seeing the movie the second time, I actually kind of appreciated it how he was doing it. But I do hope they kind of adjust the character, get a little more like the comic books. Overall, I liked it though. I can't complain too much. I like Jesse Eisenberg though, so
Yeah, I agree. See, that is where I think we differ with Jesse, because I think Jesse very much he called it. I mean, we all know the critics hated Jesse Eisenberg's performance. So,
yeah.
and Jesse called it hard. The very first time we saw any footage of Jesse Eisenberg, Jesse was like, "Oh."
Yeah, that's one of the only things I agreed with the critics in terms of this film. It's definitely a movie for the fans. When I heard Jesse Eisenberg, I initially was like, no, that is not Lex Luthor. I'm not a huge Lex Luthor fan to begin with. Let me get that out of the way. I think they need to stop using him in movies. But to use Jesse Eisenberg, he wasn't the guy I wanted to see. But I also got to apologize to him because in one of our previous videos, I called him not a man. I want to take that back, Jesse. You are a man. You go take that bald head of yours and go play John McClane in the next Die Hard film. But other than that, yeah, his performance did come off very, very weird and over the top, and it wasn't for me. My biggest complaint is, my least complaint is, it could have been worse.
True.
So
Very true.
It definitely could have been worse. But see, the thing is, Jesse, is that you have to be a Lex Luthor fan and a Jesse Eisenberg fan to get anything out of that performance.
He wasn't convincing. That's it. Really,
I love Lex Luthor. As a huge Superman fan, I love Lex Luthor so much.
I'm rich with kryptonite.
And Lex Luthor, I want Lex Luthor. The way he was looking at that big ball of kryptonite, I was like, yes, this is the Lex Luthor who will totally get kryptonite poisoning when he's like 40. Like this.
If they give him a giant mech suit in like the next Superman movie, I'll be fine. But they need to stop playing with the kryptonite. He needs to stop that.
What are you talking about, bro?
He needs to stop that.
The suit runs on kryptonite energy, bro.
Oh, well, that will be fine. Don't just try to whatever.
This is why he gets kryptonite radiation.
I'm fine with Batman using it against him, but just stop, Lex. Stop it.
But
just go be rich.
Go be rich. Why do you care?
Why are you worrying about this, man? He's a hero, okay?
Yeah, I mean, like I like Lex Luthor as a character because he represents the opposite. He's a man who basically built Metropolis. He's like, I am one of the most powerful men in the world. And here comes Superman, and I am just completely immensely emasculated. And he's one of the most powerful representations of a human. He's Lex Luthor, man. He's 6 foot tall. He's probably 300 pounds pushing it, and it's
not in this universe.
And now they make him this scrawny guy. Now they make him this scrawny, unpowerful guy. So they fundamentally change what it is that you should love about Lex Luthor, and I think
it's because they've tried Lex Luthor multiple times in other films,
and they did good with Lex Luthor in other.
They've done all right, yeah.
Kevin Spacey, I thought was a great Lex Luthor, but I'm a Kevin Spacey fan.
Yeah, in an ideal world, Kevin Spacey should be the perfect Lex Luthor, but that
I think we really just needed Brandon Routh to come together in this movie with Kevin Spacey, and it would have just really brought this movie to a new
Superman movie
ever. When it hit his eye, I believed. I had hope.
He's the Man of Steel.
This is gonna be the Superman movie to end all Superman movies.
And then it wasn't.
No, it was awful.
No.
But that then brings us to the thing we have to talk about: Superman versus Batman. Now we're gonna do that in a part 2 video, so we're gonna end this one here. This has been part 1 of our Batman versus Superman review.